Hello, I'm Elena Hinneman, and I will be going over today William Baxter's theory of a good environment and what that looks like. So, with this, we have a very broad question to unpack and get into. I'll be going over the main premise of what William Baxter was really going on. I'll focus on one specific issue that I feel as is pointed out the most within what he was talking about, and we're going to go through all the moral dilemmas and complications that it can come with and just unpack exactly how this can look for us in our society. So, I wanted to start off by pointing out what William Baxter was really trying to get at, and he was mainly trying to get at a few conclusions within his writing in this. So it basically covers how us humans need to what we need to do to actually preserve our world and to basically upkeep the lives of the humans around us. With this, he goes over many things, talking about just like how humans don't need to interfere with one another, that we all have our own free will and that should not have to interfere with one another at all, especially if it's like ethical and right. Every human's really deserving of some type of respect or fairness, which of course I think all of us agree with something like that. And how it's very hard to satisfy all human needs, which is a really big one too. But the main one that I wanted to go over in this multimedia project is the welfare of animals and how we actually, or how William Baxter sees it, is that we don't need to preserve animals for their own sake, but we need to preserve animals for our sake as humans. Um, with this, um, he basically goes over how the welfare of animals is entirely dependent on how us humans take care of them and how that's going to basically tell how we will do in the future. With that, basically he puts humans at and refers to humans a lot as animals ourselves as first compared to non-human animals. And I think what he means by this is mainly that us humans are the ones who will be needing these resources and are able to voice how we need resources in the future. So if we want these resources, we must keep up with like keeping animals up and helping animals and keep not even helping them just because of their animals and you want to feel for them, just more because the future of our world depends on it. Um, so with this, I wanted to break down exactly what that looks like when it comes to not only not showing the most care for animals because of them being animals, but to benefit ourselves as humans. So with this, put humans, I wanted to basically go over how this narrative can be seen as very selfish and how this narrative can actually be seen as beneficial in the end. So it can seem very selfish, especially with the way that we've all grown up around seeing big names like PETA, which is an animal organization that fights for animal rights, and other organizations fight for animal rights, and seeing a lot of their rhetoric more centered towards you are a bad person if you are not having this type of emotion for animals and wanting to help them in this way. And even saying bad person is a really big jump, but that's kind of, it's always been a very, very, very negative connotation with people who do not want to care for animals just because they care for animals. They like people who, of course, more of their argument is towards people who abuse animals and like certain industries like the meat industry, and how the mistreatment of animals is terrible within industries like that. But when it comes to a step further, just people who do not see the care that animals need and will abuse that just because they feel as if they have a leverage on top of animals. So but with that, even though these organizations have this narrative that we've all followed for a long time, that we must be very caring individuals towards animals, um, is the narrative of not caring for animals because of you being a caring person for said animals a selfish narrative. Um, I I think that it can be more of a, I think this is basically what William Baxter was more trying to get at, is that it's actually a much easier approach to be a lot more emotionless when it comes to animals, but knowing that we need animals to provide for our future and to flourish as a society in general, because like without animals we would have almost nothing. um but even though this can be seen as a very selfish approach, I think that if it's helping animals at the end of the day and it's still benefiting them in some way, even though it might not be the most respectful take on it, I think it's honestly not the worst thing that we can do as a society. Is just more, of course, the word dehumanize is not exactly what you would call disrespecting an animal or not showing their respect, because they are not humans, but in that type of sense, that of not having that same respect for them as you do as your fellow human. Even though it can be seen as, especially by organizations like PETA and other animal orgs, as a very nasty take, I think it's, if it's helping them in the end of the day, I think it's okay for some people, and William Baxter himself seeing it as like, we need to benefit ourselves, we don't need to be worried about the ethics of showing animals this type of mental respect, when we need to more think about what we need to do and like what we need to do to actually survive in the end of the day, which most of society is already like that. So I don't see why that wouldn't go over with animals as well. But at the end of the day, we want to preserve animals. I think that is definitely what William Baxter was just trying to get at. I think that was truly the main purpose of what his article was mainly about, and what his writing is about. It's just like, if we want to live and have a prosperous future, we need to preserve all our resources, which includes like non-human animals. So this is a very interesting topic. I really was drawn to it, especially with I feel like a lot of people in specifically my generation, that is more between like in the teens to early 20s category, have seen what PETA and orgs like that have done. And when it comes to like, I feel like as if I've met a lot of more empathetic people towards animals, and even people I don't think that would fully agree with a take like this. But I think seeing it more as like a broader scale, and not, and we're not disrespecting humans we're not disrespecting animals at the end of the day, is the best way to look at it. So this is a very interesting topic. I really enjoyed talking about it today, and thank you so much.